Hey everyone, welcome to Tour Validated. My name is DJ Lantz and we are at the Fujikura Enzo studio here in California. I'm with Spencer and Marshall. First off, thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here.
Why don't you talk to me a little bit about what you guys do here at Fujikura, and then we'll talk about some 2023 products.
Cool, yeah, products, a little bit of what I help handle here. We're all very hands-on, so we all have a lot to do with product, but that's sort of my role at Fujikura as product and brand manager. And Marshall handles that product from the tour side as well. So we're excited to have you guys here. We're going to show you some cool stuff that we've been working really hard on. I know it gets Marshall's gears going because he starts thinking about when can I possibly see this on television, when can I possibly see this in the winner's circle. So yeah, we're excited. We're excited.
Yeah, we get to travel week in and week out on the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, LPGA, Korn Ferry, and just custom fit these guys with the best performing parts on the planet. And our shafts can really alter performance in terms of ball flight, and we're just trying to make them more money.
I love that. Well, there's a lot of fun toys in here. I'm looking forward to getting into it, swinging some products, learning more about it. Before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video. I think it's go time.
Let's go.
So it looks like we have something in the prototype form built up here. Obviously, not a ton of graphics. Tell me what we're looking at.
Yeah, so this one's been quite a few years in the making, and we've tested it to death, and now we kind of are where we are. But this is cool because you're going to see kind of what we go through in a testing process, a prototyping process. There's a lot involved in that process, and that goes from everything to Enzo analytics, which we'll get into later, and player testing and product development testing, kind of the whole 9 yards. So today we're going to talk about a new part that we've coming out for 2023. It's a bit of a branch out for us. We're going to move a little more heavily into the iron segment today, which is a little bit of a departure from what we usually talk about with woods. But what we'd like you to do is hit that product. We'll look at some numbers, we'll talk through it, and then after that, we'll sort of talk you through the product, give you some idea of what tech is in the product, how it works, how it came to be, and stuff like that. So we'll start there.
Here we go. So this is it. We're going to just get a blind start, see what this thing does. I'm not someone who's played a lot of composite in an iron shaft. Actually, I never have played composite, to be completely honest.
But
I'm seeing a lot of adaptation from individuals into it because you're getting a ton of benefit on the stability side, but
for
consistency, all that. So here we go. Obviously very stable, slight mishit there. So I would imagine maybe a few swings to kind of feel the timing a little bit.
Right.
I want to have a little bit more integrity. Starting to find it a little bit more now. Feels great. Honestly, I think there's a bit of a misconception with these composite shafts, at least over the years. They've lacked in that stability department. You don't have the consistency of steel, but this, through a couple of golf swings, I can feel that it's super stable, and you don't honestly feel a ton of difference from playing that steel. And I'm sure there's benefits to playing something like this that you can tell me about here in a moment once I give you some good data.
Sure.
I mean, consistency, when the operator does its job, is very solid.
No, we're here to help on those very few off days.
Pretty steady. I try to give that a little extra.
Good shot.
That one was better. How many swings typically do you think you need to get that?
Just depends. When we run a club test, especially if we're looking at different shafts and profiles or whatever it is, depends on the number of clubs. We usually like to get about 5 to 7 shots with each one. Much more than that, the player will start to adjust to the club itself, and we want raw data, and raw feedback.
That was a miss hit, and that is right in the same dispersion as the others.
You feel like you have a good feel for it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? You want to look at some numbers and chat through it?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
So again, test club, different head than you're used to playing, but ball speed, roughly 125.5. Launch angle is right in the wheelhouse of 18.5, and we've noticed that launch has been a little bit higher with these. Spin rates are up, peak heights are a little bit higher as well, which is to me, for an iron, one of the most important parts, right? How am I going to get this ball to land and stop on a green efficiently when they do get hard, firm, and fast, right? All your spin rates are, 60, 100. That is a little bit more of a stronger lofted club, but 7,000 is usually the go zone for a 7-iron, but something that's a little bit stronger lofted, I would expect that to go down a little bit, but 6,200 on average is really good. Very, very consistent in terms of dispersion, and I think that's the VeloCore in the product, right? And that's what we noticed with our wood lineup as well. And then that's what made that product so successful. Not only was it helping with center face contact, but it was also the consistency of the product. And that's what you're getting now in an iron. Landing angle is really good, 49.4. That thing's gonna hit and land on a pillow. I mean, it's really, really good. 177, I don't know what your carry for a 7-iron is, but this one's close to 180.
Yeah, I would say that's right on, especially sea level.
Yeah.
Scottsdale, obviously a little bit longer, but that's right on. And that's with, a couple mishits. That's pretty authentic data there, so you have a great window to look at. But with the descent angle we're looking at, you can definitely afford to be a little bit lower in the spin department because you do have that stopping power, which honestly I'm pretty impressed with. So was the VeloCore the kind of inspiration to go into the iron department?
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So anytime we find a key technology that really performs and does something special like we found with VeloCore, the idea in-house is always how can we make this better, or how can we incorporate that into further products. And this, like I said earlier, started about 2 years ago, and the idea was, can we take that technology and can we integrate that into an iron profile? We found out, yes, we can, but it's also very challenging, right? Because we're looking at a very different structure and we're looking at really different things that a player is looking for in an iron. So if we talk about woods and drivers, it's a home run derby, right? How fast can it go? How far can it go? How straight can it go, right? Usually in that order. And with irons, usually it's the inverse of that, right? Because players have specific target yardages they want to hit. They have specific spin rates that they want to hit. So faster and further is not always better in an iron. So what we really keyed in on this product was the idea of consistency and dispersion, because that's what you really, really need in a set of irons to score. And what's interesting about this versus products we've done in the past, so if you look at like our Pro or our Vista Pro line, you're looking at a 2-iron blank. So it's one shaft that you're going to butt cut and tip trim to get where you need to go. What ends up happening is there's a parallel tip section of that shaft that's a lot of wasted material, especially once you start getting into the shorter irons. What we've done here is we've created a 3 parallel part system. So we essentially have a long parallel, a mid parallel, and a short. The longest for a 2-3-4 iron, the mid is for 5-6-7, and then 8-9 and wedge. What that does is the most any of those is going to be tipped is about 1 inch. So it gives us more freedom to integrate more tech further down the shaft. And that's where VeloCore really is able to shine in this product, because we're taking that pitch 70 material and we're running it even further, and that's where we get low torque values and lots of stability. So in testing, when we tested against heavier weight, maybe steel options or even heavier weight graphite options, one thing we were really excited to see was consistency was way up, dispersion was way tighter, but we also weren't locking players into a specific type of ball flight. So if you want to hit it high, it can support that. If you want to launch it low and bring it down and work it, it can support that. So basically what we're doing is we're giving you the most stable platform possible so that the player and the club head can perform exactly as you want to perform.
Right, I know, and that's a misconception I think with composite shafts, is being able to control the windows.
Absolutely,
Everything's supposed to be like, oh, it's high launch, high spin, it's going to help the player get the ball in the air. I can tell you through those swings that I made, it wasn't that at all. It was pretty consistent and the ball did what I thought it was going to do. So when I hit it a little thin, I mean, it was obviously a little lower, but the spin was still in a spot that's very controlled. Consistency and dispersion, as I talked about while I was hitting, right to left with those swings was great.
Yeah.
You do feel like you flip it sometimes through impact and it should be way left, and I felt like it was a pretty tight little blanket we were throwing over those shots. So that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, that was a big thing for us in the design process as well, is that we see that iron sets are getting stronger and stronger lofted, right? So spin rates are coming down. Now they are engineered to go higher so you can create some better peak heights. Right. So when we started looking at a design profile, we said, well, if it's something that does launch a little bit higher and spins a little bit more, we want to be really cautious of the fact that we don't want to overdo it. So one of the cool things we did in testing is we did a lot of outdoor testing, and we had high ball speed players hit that kind of 125X configuration purposely into the wind just to see what it would do, and we saw no ballooning and we saw optimal peak heights. So that to us was the ultimate litmus test of if this thing is spinny, is it too spinny, can players still adjust to it? And across a myriad of handicaps and weight classes from 75 to 125, we see the same benefits for every player set. So it's not just for high-speed players, it's not just for traditional graphite players. It literally spans improvement across every weight class. So we're
And we
super
have
excited.
obviously a ton of different weight categories.
Yeah,
that we
this
can
one
look
actually
into.
start with just 3.
Okay.
So we'll have a 75 gram option, a 105 gram option, and a 125 gram option. So you basically have something in the traditional graphite or lighter weight category. You have something in that mid-weight graphite or lightweight steel category, and you have something that's sort of more, a little bit more of that player's iron, a little more speed, kind of that 125 to 130.
Now, do you expect to see some tour adaptation here, either from DP, LPGA, PGA Tour, Live? Like, do you expect to see some of these guys gravitate towards
Yeah,
something like
you
this?
know, I think having a shaft that's in that 125 gram category, because before we were at 115 grams with the Pro, that was our heaviest weight. So having something that's a little bit closer, plus these shafts are constant weight, right? The Pros were descending weight set. So having something that's constant weight, I think these Pros are gonna potentially run them through the entire set and not have to worry about their pitching wedge being 7 grams lighter like it was in the past. And we've already seen, with some of our older models like the Pro, some of the top players were already using those in their utility irons. So there's a very, very good chance that these will start making it in the bags as soon as we launch them on tour. And they hold steel swing weight at steel length, that's always been hard to achieve when doing composite iron shafts. An advantage that we have over competitors as well is the feel of this product, right? If I look at some competitor shafts, graphite shafts that are on the market, if you look at the inner diameter of those shafts, it's so small you can barely get a pin through it. Like if I hold it up to a light, I can barely get a pin through that ID. Right. These, because of the swing weight that we are able to achieve with these irons, they still incorporate a lot of feel to them. Right. So they're going to be very good in terms of the consumer market, but also the tour level as well.
Yeah, we're super excited about it.
That is exciting. Well, let's try a different weight. I know we have some
Yeah,
different options here.
we've got a 105 for you to hit as well. And then you can just compare. These are both going to be X Flex. So you started with the 125X. We'll hit the 105X and just kind of see, feel preference. We do see some players gravitate towards lighter weight. Sometimes they move out of that 125 gram steel category. But to Marshall's point, we want to be very cognizant that there is a big swath of up-and-coming junior golfers that he sees them all year long that are just getting faster and stronger and faster and stronger. So we want to be able to have a profile that can support highest ball speeds possible, but we're also aware that we're not all necessarily 125X guys, so we want to have some good options for the everyday golfer as well. So we'll hit a 105 and see what you think.
Perfect. Cool. Let's do it.
All right, you tell me what you would prefer. Same shaft, just
This one looks great.
let's do it.
Okay.
So we've got the 105X in hand now. We're looking at some pretty awesome graphics. This is final for 2023.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nice matte black finish. Obviously looks really cool. Let's see how it feels in comparison. So this is the 105. Again, like you mentioned, swing weight wise, it's not what you typically feel out of composite. It feels very similar to a steel, which is, in my opinion, very helpful. Well, that's nice. We like those.
Yeah.
We like those. Maybe I'm a 105 guy. I know towards the 12, 13, 14 throughout a round, you start to get a little tired.
Yeah.
Having a little less weight might extend that a little bit.
And that's one thing that we find through both testing and fitting is that, we always talk about the shaft being the timing device for the swing, and weight plays a tremendous part in that. So it may not necessarily be, you're too fast or too slow to play this particular weight.
Yeah.
It's really just more about where you feel the shaft and where you feel the timing of it.
Right.
And then we use the flex to determine if it's stable enough for your speed and for your impact.
Yeah, this feels pretty steady. Pretty solid descent angle, you can tell there.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
See if I can get one. I haven't quite punched one yet, so we'll see. Dispersion's solid though.
Yeah, that's
pretty good.
pretty good.
Very eye-opening for me. It's not something I'd gravitate towards,
Sure.
as I mentioned. But,
Yeah.
it does feel very nice. You're not feeling something so foreign.
Yeah.
What do you know? It landed in the same
I
spot.
was going to say, like, a
Pretty solid dispersion.
You copy
I
and
did
pasted
not-
about 6 times, so.
I did not button those the entire time, so that I think is really like a testament to what you have going on here.
I mean, all of your carry numbers are within 4 yards of each other, which is it's pretty good.
Right.
All your ball speeds are within a mile and an hour of each other. All your launches are consistent. Your spin rates are great. 6,300 on that last one, which is good. 49.1 descending angle, which means that your peak heights are about 99 feet, about 100 feet, which is where you want to be.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe I'm a 105 guy.
I mean, we talk about this all the time with everybody, and it's all about getting fit, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of the misconception that you sort of alluded to with graphite is that if I get a weight that I like, I'm going to lose stability or I'm going to lose consistency, and that is kind of the big testament to incorporating VeloCore technology into a set of irons, is that you can alter that weight if you want to,
Right.
and you're not giving up anything side to side. I mean, you saw it on those shots. You're not losing anything left to right. So that becomes much more of a feel and player specific thing and not a performance driven thing, which is great.
I mean, it's honestly something I would expect the dispersion to get a little bit bigger
Sure.
on 105 because it's not a weight category that I would typically play in, and we saw exactly the opposite. So that goes back to how important it is to get fit for something like this.
Yeah, and I won't give won't give too many details away about the overall design, but I will say that this product has a lot of VENTUS DNA in it,
Yep.
both in the technology and the design and sort of bend profiles and things like that. So, yeah, we're excited to offer that sort of stability throughout the bag, basically from driver through wedge, and we're excited for players to hit it. And when this stuff happens, it makes us feel really good.
Well, I don't blame you with all the success that Ventus has had. Why wouldn't you incorporate it into the other options in the bag? So,
Yep. And you commented on the graphics. It was a kind of a labor of love as well. We want to make sure that we have something that looks really sharp and clean, but with iron shafts that can't be too distracting.
Right.
Can't necessarily do the same color palette. You got to have something that's kind of neutral but still looks pretty good. So it was really cool to hear you comment on the graphics.
yeah, graphics look great, feels great. Definitely something. If you are in the market for new shafts, new irons, you definitely want to check this out. They have different weight categories as they mentioned, but they might surprise you with how they feel. So make sure if you're in the market for iron category, I guess through the bag category, you better be looking into Fujikura, but these specifically, really eye-opening, so make sure you check them out. Wrapping things up here, pretty fun experience checking out the Fujikura AXIOM, brand new for 2023. Fun stuff. My mind's a little blown. I appreciate you guys having me out, giving me some insight into what we're looking at here in the composite world. Hopefully we start to see some tour adaptation, but if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and make sure if you're checking out some iron shafts that you're checking out AXIOM in 2023.